One of the reasons why Holloway is going to struggle so much against Ilia Topuria is because Max Holloway, one of the ways in which he gets his game going is by landing body shots, landing jabs to the body, right hands to the body. He's a very active body shotter when it comes to boxing. He's always piecing up the body. That's what he's doing in the beginning of his fights to set up other strikes. And it's just going to be a nightmare to be able to hit Ilia Topuria, who's hunched over, who's 5'7", who has a low stance. Holloway will not be able to have a lot of success going to the body, because if he does that, the overhand is right there. The right hand is right there for Ilia Topuria. Against a guy like Justin Gaethje who stands upright, Gaethje's literally like this. Against someone like Gaethje, it's easy to go to the body. And Holloway, watch the first round of that fight. He's probably landing over 10 strikes to the body of Justin Gaethje just from the hands alone. It's going to be really difficult for Holloway to get his game going. So that's a ton of output that Holloway utilizes to win fights that he will not be able to land that much successfully against Topuria. Like, he just will not have a lot of success with it. So once again, you look at Holloway's fights against shorter opponents, Frankie Edgar. One of the reasons why Holloway isn't landing a ton of volume on Frankie Edgar like he did against Brian Ortega is because Frankie Edgar is one of these short guys that stands low. That's why. Can't go to the body as easily. And punching down is not as comfortable for Max Holloway. So I think he's honestly going to have to come up with like a really perfect game plan, maybe a heavy kicking game plan, but he's not going to be able to out-grapple Topuria. I mean, the way he wins is by like spinning, back kicking him in the nose, something like that, maybe an uppercut. But if he doesn't KO him, I think Topuria is going to beat the shit out of him just with combinations. And Holloway will leave his head, and he'll leave his head back on a center line sometimes too. Holloway is fighting differently, though, and has pop now. Holloway does have pop, and he is fighting better these days, but watching the Justin Gaethje fight reminds me how shit Justin Gaethje is compared to people like Ilia Topuria and Volkanovski. Justin Gaethje, I honestly don't understand how he was able to get to such a high level the way that he's fighting. Like, I understand against Poirier, he was slipping some punches, and that's what was impressive. Gaethje slipped a couple of punches and landed a head kick. But when you actually see him fight someone that's just super technical and that's not Rafael Fiziev, just emptying the gas tank in the first round, spamming body kicks and you know, trying to finish someone out of the gate, he kind of exposes himself as sloppy and one-dimensional. Gaethje is a guy that goes, you know, he throws big hooks and then he's out and he fucking runs past people. He's predictable with his dipping of his head. I don't know. Gaethje doesn't look that good. Ilia Topuria is like 10 levels above him. Way better. Way better. Gaethje's off balance half the time. Half the strikes he throws, he's off balance after he throws them. And half the strikes he throws are predictable. It's going to be a leg kick or it's going to be big winging hooks, right? You fail to account for the dog inside Max. No, I understand that Max Holloway's tough. Like, listen, I don't think that Ilia is going to dog walk him. I just think that Ilia is going to beat him up. You say something like Ilia beats Holloway up, people are like, dude, what are you saying? But it's a fight. Ilia is going to land damaging shots. He has some of the most power ever in the featherweight division. I think he's going to be able to damage Holloway like Volk did in the trilogy and maybe even put him away. I think Holloway's going to have a offensive performance like he did against Frankie Edgar. It's just that this time Frankie Edgar is going to be hitting him back. This time Frankie Edgar can defend himself. All right? Aldo's 5'7", Ilia's 5'7". What did Max do to Aldo again? Aldo stands higher than Ilia. Ilia has a bladed stance, and he's in here. And he's literally burying his chin behind his neck. Aldo's out here. Aldo's bouncing around like this with his chin on a silver platter. It's a little bit different. And Aldo doesn't have the same gas tank. And Aldo, listen, I love Aldo. You guys know it. He's one of my favorite fighters, but he's not at the same level as Ilia Topuria. He doesn't have the offensive threat of the takedown. So, yeah. Listen, all I'm saying is that Max Holloway is going to struggle with the stylistic matchup. He can't land body shots as successfully as he does against his usual taller opponent. It's going to be impossible to consistently land jabs to the body, right hands to the body on Ilia Topuria like it is against Justin Gaethje. Okay? I definitely agree that Topuria will touch Max, but I think the fight is closer than you make it seem. Okay, like, listen, I don't want to say that Topuria is going to dog walk Max and that it's an easy fight. I'm just saying that I think Topuria is going to win, and I think he's going to beat Max up. That's all I'm saying. Like, I think he's just going to damage Max's face, rock him around the octagon. I think Max is going to have volume, but I don't think he's going to have a lot of big moments. I think it's going to be similar to the Volkanovski Holloway trilogy, where Volk makes a statement early, but the rest of the fight, Volk's just like barely ahead. That's kind of what I mean. Is closer than you make seem. It's like how people thought Gaethje fight would go. Yeah. I mean, I learned a lesson from the Gaethje fight, never to doubt featherweight skill ever again in a striking battle. You know, and someone made a video about this. I think it was Based MMA. He did hot takes, and I disagreed with one of them, but one of them was good, and it was that Yair Rodriguez, if he were to move up to 155, could probably outstrike the best of them. Maybe not someone with the threat of the takedown like Islam Makhachev, but I bet Yair easily outstrikes Justin Gaethje. I bet he could easily beat up Dustin Poirier on the feet with the featherweight skill.